Of daily number 413, where we are feasting our eyes upon Millennium Feast's aggression in PvT. Yeah! So what we were looking at just now was this wonderful, delightful early attack that Feast is doing against Slayer's MMA, and I think one of the most important aspects of this moment right now is that the way StarCraft evolves, and just RTS games in general evolve, are around timings. There's no intuitive power unit or power upgrade that we're seeing Feast go for. He's not getting a Colossus to barrel down the front door or getting some amazing, 3-3 fast upgrade to bust down the front door. He's attacking at a very good time. Whoopsie daisies, there we go. So he goes ahead and he's going to be pushing at the front door, and you're noticing that MMA, we've been talking a lot about Banshee and the timing of Banshee. We looked at that at the end of part number 1. But look at the fact that MMA is not doing a Banshee. MMA is doing this weird build where, actually I'll just pull back a brief smidge, just a skosh, and show you. He's going for a barracks, a factory, and a starport with no add-ons, and he's just getting Hellions and Medivacs, gearing up to do some very cool harassment. But even with that weird opening, Feast, whoopsie daisies, fast-forwarded way too much, Feast is still going to be able to put a lot of key pressure on. So here's the engagement that we saw, and then Feast, oh whoopsie daisies, is going to spot this huge swell of Hellions, and this is where Feast's flexibility comes in terms of this opening. He's just going to easily warp in a couple of units right here at the front. Boom! Nullified this harassment. And this gets pretty well shut down. At the same time, Feast is now putting huge pressure on MMA's front. MMA, who looked like he wanted to transition into a 1-1-1, has not even gotten himself off the ground yet. Stalkers crush Marines early on in the game. Absolutely crush. And we're seeing Feast completely acknowledge this fact. MMA getting himself a little bit caught out of order. Losing 2 Stalkers here and there, but I think already clearly Feast has done what he set out to do. Now, you might ask yourself, what is the big advantage? At this point in time, this very moment right now is, I think, where most players steer themselves away from this sort of gateway aggression. They say, well, great, I did some damage. Terran sustained some damage. But my Terran buddy's been building Banshees, getting those upgrades this whole time. But me, I haven't started a Robo, I haven't started anything else special. I haven't begun the path to my wonderful Colossus or the path to my wonderful 1-1 upgrades or whatever. But the big thing to note is that the big edge you're going for is this economic edge. Look at that, 36 to 22. Even in the workers killed tab, it's just 5 workers. It's not huge. But the fact is, while we were doing all this harassment at the front, chrono boosting probes nonstop. All our chrono boost is going to probes. Sure, we can do some emergency gateway chronos and warp in this round if we need, but to sum up the basics of the opening, really fast Stalker pressure, a lot of chrono boosting probes during the Stalker pressure. And here you go, 38 to 22, nearly doubling our opponent. In terms of income, we are even quite a ways ahead despite that mule being there on the field. So what we're seeing Feast do is he transitions from this Stalker aggression into just a high gateway count aggression. He's going to be getting his observers up, but he's more importantly going to be trying to get that probe lead up really hard. How does he deal with a really well-rounded army? By having way the hell more workers than the opponent does, and by having way the hell more gateway units than the opponent does. Really slick. And now he's splitting himself up. This Banshee, quite low on the health tab, finally manages to get some workers. We're still so far ahead. And when this 1-1-1 push comes, we're going to see Feast have a little bit of a struggle because, of course, this is not just an ordinary 1-1-1. This has 3 barracks producing Marines 4 at a time. It has combat shield with all these Marines. This ends up being quite potent, and even then, Feast has this huge-ass army. And he does some nice little controlling. And you know what? I'm not going to slow it down or pause anymore. The important thing is that Feast got a nice advantage, and then he played it out intuitively. High gateway count, no need to go for Colossi right now. He just marches right on in. Marching in, marching in. Has to do it in a couple of, I guess, rounds, I'd say. But never underestimate the strength of Stalkers and Immortals against Marines, because they're quite good. Yet more gateways. Easy peasy. Parcheesi. Okay, great. You may be saying to yourself, well, this early Stalker pressure, it seemed to work great. It seemed to work great when my face froze. This Stalker pressure seems to shut down some tech plays like Fast Banshee, some tech plays like this Marine Hellion thing pretty well. I get that. How does it work in other circumstances? Let's look at a game from that same tournament between Feast and QXC. This is going to be a very different looking game, and it's going to be on a very different map. On Antigua Shipyard, where it's going to be another fast expand. Or it's going to be a fast expand from QXC. Whoopsie daisies. By the way, you're noticing that QXC's labeled as purple, but he's showing up blue here. That's this Alt-F thing down here. You can change that. Watch as I resume. Here comes Alt-F in 3, 2, 1. Shadam! Now he's back to purple. I almost always have Alt-F on. Red, blue, and green, baby. That's what I'm about. So there we see Feast. Again, constant chrono boost, gateway on 13. Assimilator on 15. Insta-chrono boost the second he can. He does need these extra few minerals. He really desperately needs it. Not planting his pylons too far away. Doesn't really need to. And look at that, just gently putting units into his geyser. The first probe in the geyser is the probe that builds the cybernetics core, and we just sort of slowly add on from there. Chrono boosting like crazy on dem probers. Meanwhile, QXC is doing an early expand, and I want you to note that Feast does not even really get the chance to poke up here. The probe gets repelled. Feast doesn't have a freaking clue. Does this deter him? No. He goes straight for that warp gate, and look at that. Spot-on timing on that chrono. One zealot popping out, then the Stalker comes up. After the Nexus. Literally. Zealot, warp gate, Nexus, Stalker. Has zero knowledge of what's going on. Look, there it is. The zero knowledge. And hey, look, we did cut probes at 25 and 26 so we could build a pylon. And now we're going back to probe production. Chrono boost, go on the warp gate. We now have enough to do a chrono boost on it. We're going to do it momentarily. Why is this first zealot pressure okay? Because if our opponent is doing anything, if he's doing anything that at all that involves marauders without concussive shell, we can just poke in and run away. Move speed for zealot, 225. Move speed for Marine, 225. And I actually can't emphasize enough how super important that is. All the time, it's very easy to say, well, I don't know if my attack would do any damage. I don't know, I feel scared to do it. You know what's the easiest way to not get scared? Look at the movement speed of your units and his units. A lot of the time, they'll be equal. And you're like, oh, even if he has 6 times as many units as I can, or as I have, I just walk away. Easy, Parcheesi, Fabrizi. Team Breezy. Cool, our first Stalker is out. Second Stalker comes up after we build those 2 gateways and many a chrono on our warp gate. With our next 25 energy, I suppose he could throw down another chrono. Come on, Feast, come on. Come on. There it is. Again, a little bit late. It could be spot on. Most of the time when I see Feast do this build, it is spot on. But cool, QXC is getting himself a little bit of defense. We're actually about to see this warp-in happen. Wow, look at that. Again, before the 6-minute mark, QXC pops in and finds out that he's going to be in a world of hurt. As we very quickly, at 6 minutes and 20 seconds, have a lot of units come to the front gate. This is really, really good. Now, one thing that I want to note that I think is so critical, because I want to eliminate the fear from you. I want to go to the QXC cam and show what his experience was like. You'll see that QXC did a great job with his opening. Brilliant job cutting corners, getting up more than he really should have been able to do. And still was in a rough spot. There's the orbital command. And now we're going to build a command center before we build another supply depot. There's the other supply depot. We're building Marines, rallying them forward. Look at this. We cut a corner. We're not going to be building a bunker early on. We're actually going to build one barracks very early, a second barracks very early, and then we're going to worry about bunkers. QXC is really delaying the bunker to maximize the amount of Marines he can get out. He's now starting his 2 geysers. And of course, it's a time like this where the production tab can show us how not scared we need to be. Terran's getting his 2 refineries up real damn quick. He's starting his refineries when the warp gate is half done, more than half done. Yeesh. Alright, cool. We have 4 Marines out, and there's our orbital command. Here's our barracks starting to churn out more and more Marines. We're going to get a tech lab add-on so we can get some good upgrades. Nothing is out of the ordinary at all. And here we begin our bunker. And look, this pressure from the warp-in is about to begin. Terran has nothing. Nothing at all. Look at this great pressure. Oh, God, that's so good. Sickeningly good pressure. And the important, I would probably say the importantest thing of all of this moment is that Feast, even if he sees a bunker done early on, he's still going to be throwing a lot of Stalkers at the opponent. Like, plenty of Stalkers. He is going to have no fear at all until a good amount of Marauders pop up, and even here, there's nothing wrong with poking up and making another round. And I say that not because I'm full of it, but because Liquid Hero does this quite a bit. And he's someone I just trust. So, alright, now we see Feast, again, trying to get a little bit of that economic probe lead. Why is he not as far ahead? Because, see the energy on these Nexuses? Has not quite been chrono boosting as much as he should on his probes. He could get an extra 2 or 3 probes. Feast has not really killed off that many workers in this series of exchanges. But that's the main goal that Feast is going to be going for. But now all of a sudden, the attack is done. This early Stalker pressure not designed to get us a win boom all of a sudden. It is designed to get us a little bit of an advantageous situation. The one sort of hidden advantage that Feast is having other than supply block, the one seemingly hidden advantage of this very moment is that Feast very clearly knows what QXC is up to. He doesn't have to do something like get a robo and get 2 observers, 1 for the Cloaked Banshee and 1 to scout in his base. He doesn't have to do any of that. He poked at the front aggressively. He now knows what's up. As a result, Feast can go straight for Zealots with charge. Personally, I probably would have gone for Blink. Not only do we already have a good amount of Stalkers, but I think that we can control his, Marine Marauder pressure very easily with that. Especially for the Starport. But now we see Feast transitioning back into some big gateway reliance. Cool. Warping himself in more and more Stalkers. Very Stalker heavy in the early and mid game. There we have 3 more gateways coming up. Robo Bay popping down. A Robo Facility, excuse me. And there's the Blink popping up right afterwards as well. And suddenly we have this odd role reversal, where the Terran, who's normally the big aggressor in the mid game, is going to be running up against Blink and Charge very, very soon. By the way, you might be starting to see more clearly now why I would have preferred to get Blink first. We got Charge first, and we have 1 Zealot. 2 Zealots. Oh, jeez. I think it's a pretty clear situation from here on out. We're just going to be going Zealot Archon. We can begin getting Storm as long as we don't Chrono Boost an empty thing. And now QXC's totally committed and screwed in this situation. I think Feast probably could have been a little bit more aggressive there, but QXC, who's really the master of these aggressive drops, is running into some serious problems as Feast is taking his 3rd comfortably, has all these gateways up comfortably. I probably, if I had to say an adjustment, I would probably stick to 5 gateways and get an earlier single forge, and then go gateway, 2nd forge, something like that. I mean, these are optimizations that we could do, but It's not nearly as important as doing this core basic idea of Feast's big delay on the Robo. He now knows what's up. Hell, he has Templar here to feedback it all. Gonna feedback it all. Feedbacking it up. More of these sort of kind of drops, but when your opponent has blink and feedback, it's super hard. I think the Colossus with range can actually hit that. That is definitely Colossus with rangeable. Cool! And now the game plays out pretty normally. I don't think there's too much to say about the theme of the daily anymore. It's just going to be kind of a typically played Protoss vs. Terran from here, where Feast is going to eventually get the edge. The game's about halfway done, so I might breeze through some of it. But I still want to note that this look that we have 3 bases up. We have forges upgrading. We have all the essential upgrades. We are done with Storm. We're getting ready to get Colossus. We have a 4th going up at a gold. There, now we can see it. Cool. We have this 4th going up. All this happened pain-free. Totally pain-free. It's so easy to get caught up in the defense game. I gotta get my really fast Colossus, and man, it seems like if I go 3-gate Colossus, it's not fast enough. So now I gotta go 2-gate Colossus, but I can't figure out how to hold off the early push with 2 gateways. I gotta go 1-gate Colossus. And now you're talking in a really high-pitched octave. It's really stressful. But here we see Feast saying, sweet, I'm going to attack. I'm only going to have 3 gateways. Really early on, going to be making a lot of Stalkers. Bludgeoning your front door down. And now I know exactly what to do. Yeah, alright. Now we're in just a great position. Now we're just in a really, really good position. I love what Feast does to me. Stalker aggression. Aggression with the Stalkers. Stalker aggression. You know, Feast loses this. There's a big battle and engagement. By the way, for any of you watching on the archives, there's going to be nothing more of value said in this segment, but I just wanted to show the remainder of the game because it's kind of neat. Oh! 1 storm, see you later. Excellent. Oh! 12 stormos. Au revoir. So fantastico. Now it looks like our good friend QXC is going to be continuing to push. QXC kind of has a hyper-modern style which emphasizes Marine and de-emphasizes Marauders. It's a heavily Marine Ghost mixture. It's super powerful, but you have to land exact EMPs. Like, really damn exact. And a lot of them. Because if you don't, you die immediately. And also you have to be wary of the Colossi, who are just idly sitting with their dumb big heads that get shoved around on the playground. Obviously, one thing that's nice is that you can afford to delay these upgrades a skosh, because if you have Chrono Boost, you can easily catch right on up. With much of screaming and pain displayed by all of our units, we go ahead and just take ourselves a gold expansion and another expansion. You're seeing that it's not like Feast is crushing this game easily and having himself a straight, clean win. I'm pointing out, though, that this opening with these 3 gateways gets you to a spot where if I paused the game right now and asked you, how did Feast open? Any answer would seem legit. But I'm telling you, it's a pain-free opening. Also, love this. Very high cannon count versus Terran. Really good. We could probably go ahead and plant another cannon here and here. You know, another cannon there. Spread it out a bit. Go ahead and do those storms and those wonderful feedbacks. Make sure you have plenty of Templar peppering the landscape, as David Attenborough would say. Ew. The indigenous High Templar, neatly tucked into the back corners of the expansions. I love David Attenborough. He's so awesome. I so want him to just narrate my phone message. Yes, hello, I'm David Attenborough, and you've reached the number of Sean Day 9 plot. You can leave your name, number, and a time that would work best for your day. That would be smashing. After some more series of exchanges, we learned that Psionic Storm is really good against packed clusters of units. let's go on to part number 3, where we're going to take a look at this opening, this very aggressive gateway opening, against one of the more aggressive 2 barracks plays. So, see you then. See you then. For part number 3, another variation.